Arkansas has a very draconian law on the books when it comes to eviction and people who rent. Now, this is the only state in the United States that has a law that is extremely draconian and actually works against people who don't own homes. Now, in Arkansas, landlords actually do not have to do any upkeep when it comes to their properties. There's no law that regulates that. At the same time, if a landlord wants to evict a tenant, all the tenant has to do is be late by 1 day, and then he or she will get an eviction notice legally. And they will have 10 days to move out of their home. If they don't move out within 10 days, well, they can be prosecuted as criminals, and they face fines and 90 days behind bars. Vice did a great documentary on this. They have more details on this story, so let's take a look.
The police came to our house on Tuesday. I never received the eviction notice. We came in and I explained the situation. They offered him 90 days in jail because of failure to vacate. It's unconstitutional.
Failure to vacate was passed at the beginning of the last century at the bequest of landlords as an easy, cheap method to dispossess tenants of their property with really minimal effort on the landlord's part because the state is taking over that role for them.
They actually fingerprinted me and took a mugshot, like I was a criminal. I said all of this just because of failure to vacate.
Barnes claimed she had paid the rent on time, but the landlord refused to take her payment.
With me and my situation, I'm gonna make sure my kids have a roof over their head. That rent gonna be the first thing I pay out. I had proof that I had the money order. She just wanted us out.
Yeah, look, even before I saw that, the minute I started reading the story, I was like, gee, I wonder who got that law passed. The landlords, of course. And you have to understand something. I actually have a landlord bias. I'll tell you why. My dad was a landlord, not residential, but commercial. So he managed buildings, and they were pain in the ass tenants who would stop paying and then assume that they could just keep the office for another couple of months, right? So my dad dealt with this all the time. But this is insane.
Yeah.
First of all, it's residential, it's their homes, they live there, right? Second of all, being a day late cannot subject you to all these penalties. That's also insane. Third of all, or whatever count we're on, also the landlords don't have to fix up the property. They have like extra rights in Arkansas. So wait, the guy doesn't fix up the property like he's supposed to. He doesn't keep up his end of the bargain. If I'm a day late, whether I'm protesting that or whatever happened, right? Nope, they're sorry, you gotta go. And then the last layer, which is insanity tripled, is that they make a criminal.
I know. They prosecute you, they treat you like a criminal, and you could be placed behind bars if you are a day late and then fail to evict or fail to leave within 10 days. That's insane. And if you guys are thinking, well, how prevalent could this possibly be in Arkansas? There are about 2,000 failure to vacate cases in the state each year.
That's part of the prison industrial complex too. I mean, I don't know the situation in Arkansas in terms of private and public prisons, but I mean, that's just a straight like factory line into the prison. 2,000 cases that don't need to be criminal at all. I mean, again, we're going towards a country here where you basically have debtors' prisons. I mean, these people aren't even in debt, right? I mean, they're just a day late on the payment. Even if they were a month late, like at some point, my dad would have to padlock the office to say, look, man, dude, you haven't paid for X period of time, couple of months, whatever it was, right? You gotta go. That's just the reality of life. Mm-hmm. He wouldn't throw them in prison. I mean, you can't do that. And that's private issue, right? Like for example, Donald Trump, his companies have gone bankrupt numerous times. They don't throw Donald Trump in jail. He just says, oh, that's okay, I'm rich. I just declared bankruptcy. And he brags about it. He says that was a sophisticated business decision I made to stiff you, right? But if you're poor and you don't have any power, you saw the video there. She doesn't have any power. They're going to put you in prison so quick it's going to spin your head.
Yeah, they're going to stomp on you. And think about the number of times you might have been a day late on rent, not because you don't have the money, but because you have to work. You have stuff to do, right? I mean, there have been multiple times where I missed it by 1 day, and my landlord isn't going to freak out over it because she knows I'm going to pay her. It's not a big deal. But to know that in Arkansas, you're living in a state where if you're late 1 day and it's an accident, it might be a little bit of negligence, whatever, that's it. they can evict you, and you have 10 days, just 10 days to get out of that home. Move your entire family out, take the furniture out, take your clothing, all of your belongings within 10 days. If you fail to do that, that's when they treat you like a criminal. That's when they prosecute you.
And if you're wondering, why would they do that? Like, what's their incentive to do that? Because sometimes people have a contract where they're paying, they started paying rent at a time where there was less rent, right? So now the guy doesn't want to violate that contract, but the minute you're a day late, he can snap into action, get you out of there, and get a higher paying person into that place, and then do that cycle all over again, right? And if a consequence of that is that he ruins your record, gets you put in jail, costs you your job, hurts your family, man, that's your problem. You should have bought the politicians instead of him.
Yeah. This is a terrible policy if you're living in like a rent-controlled area. Because if you're in a rent-controlled area, your landlord is dying to get you the hell out of there as soon as rent prices go up. It's the war on the poor.